What's up everybody, it's Lexi here coming to you all with another video. This one is going to be another video in my Life After College series talking all about friendships and, you know, really delving into how friendships change. I do have a video where I talk about making new friends as well as one about resolving conflict with your friends, but this one I really wanted to go into kind of how friendships change because I have found this to be really relevant in my life recently, and I felt like, hey, maybe there's other people out there going through this too. So if that sounds interesting to you, then keep watching and let's get started. I've just started to see that this kind of couples into practicing non-attachment. Now, and when I say non-attachment, I mean not attaching to things, ideas, people, so much so that it becomes you. And part of that, not attaching to people, means not attaching to certain kinds of relationships, just because you never know what's going to happen in life. And when you attach yourself to a certain outcome with relationships, oftentimes you may find yourself disappointed at one point or another. And so specifically with friends, I've seen how pretty much every single friendship I've had since maybe college and before college has just changed. And I wouldn't say in a bad way, but it just has changed. And so, for instance, there's certain people who I was really close with in middle school and in high school. Those same people, our friendships, our dynamics of our friendships have changed. I've just really started to understand people playing certain roles in our lives, and also keeping in mind that no one's going to be in our life permanently. Whether people choose to leave, we kick them out, or they pass away, no one is going to be in your life permanently. And so as scary of a thought that is, it's a fact. We can't fight it. One day we're all going to pass away. And so with friendships, I've seen sometimes I would hang on to what there used to be. And I remember I said this to my mom, and I don't even know where this token of wisdom came from, but she was explaining to me how one of her closest friends, who I actually would call, you know, my play aunt, she was saying, oh, we're not as close as we used to be. And my mom was saying, well, I don't really feel that way. And I told my mom, I feel like it's because she needs you in ways that you don't need her. I really have no idea where that wisdom came from, but as soon as I said it, I understood what it meant, because I've been there. I've been there where one of my closest friends, I was harping on and telling her, like, I feel like we're not close. What it really was is that I felt like I needed her in ways that she didn't need me. I confided in her in ways that I felt like she didn't confide in me. And it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Whenever people are going through stuff, it's not always one for one. For instance, with me, when I'm going through something, I need to talk to people. I need people to be around me. However, I have friends who are the complete opposite. When they're going through something, they want to be left alone. And so it's not fair to say, oh, you were going through something and you didn't come to me, you know, why didn't you come to me? I feel like we're not close. When really, that's just not what that person needed from you. And this goes back to my managing, you know, your expectations video, where you really kind of have to watch how you're projecting your ideas and your feelings onto people, because oftentimes people don't want to be treated the way that you want to be treated. And that's really a misnomer when people say, treat others how you want to be treated. I think the idea there is to treat other people with, you know, respect and, you know, dignity, and come from a place of love. But at the same time, what that actually looks like can be very different for different people. One of my friendships with my coworker, so we're actually really good friends, and our friendship has been a really good learning lesson for me. I'm a very blunt person. You all know this. However, with him, I've found that certain things he would take and would think I was serious, and it would cause this awkward tension between us sometimes. And it wasn't until we sat down and had a conversation that I had to sit with him and say, in this instance, I wasn't being serious, but you took it a certain way, you know, and so I don't say certain things, and it's all cleared up now. We're good now. But I say that to illustrate not projecting your expectations on other people, and also just this way that, I guess, I don't want to say having adult friendships, but just how complicated sometimes things can be with friendships. I look back at all my friendships and I see the changes in them. I truly understand what it means to appreciate experiencing people. And this idea of experiencing people versus attaching yourself to them. When you experience someone, you allow them to be who they are. You get to be who you are. Whereas when you're attaching to somebody, it's really trying to get somebody to mold into a certain type of position or a certain role that you have for them. Everybody has a role in our life. Everybody brings to us a distinct lesson that only they can bring. And I feel like sometimes we get in the way of that by seeing somebody and determining a role for them that they probably were never meant to play. In college, I don't feel like I dealt with this as much. I know that some of my friendships kind of changed because I didn't really go away to college, but I didn't commute to college. I mean, I was pretty much only like 30 minutes away from home, but I lived on campus. And so some of my friendships did change, but being out of college and having, you know, gained so many friends in college, it's been very clear to me the differences between things. And it took me a little bit to really understand and to really let certain things go, because I would feel, again, expectations, I would feel like, oh, we're out of college, you know, which means we have more time to hang out. There's people who I thought I would see multiple times a year who I would see only twice a year, on their birthday and my birthday. And that used to really upset me, used to really disappoint me, because I felt like we don't live that far from each other. Why am I making an effort? I feel like you're not. And it just, I had to get to a place where I said, you know what? They served the purpose they needed to serve at this time. Now they're serving a different purpose in my life. And whether that's one of my good friends, I would see his Instagram post, sometimes I would feel like, how come he hasn't hit me up? Why haven't we talked, you know? I feel like I'm the person who's always reaching out. I've just had to say to myself, you know, he's still a friend of mine. We're not as close as we used to be, but maybe we don't have to be as close as we used to be. Maybe, I mean, when I was close to him, I needed to be close to him at that time, because what he gave to me, you know, how he supported me was only in the way that he could support me, and vice versa. I would say at that time too, when he was going through his stuff and he was able to be really open with me and honest with me, that I provided him something that nobody else could provide him at that time. Now where we are now is different places in our lives, and I feel like I have certain people playing certain roles and fulfilling me in all these different ways. And that's another thing I have learned since graduating college and just growing older, is a matter of understanding that that you're going to need several people to play different roles in your life. Not, you know, one person can't be everything. And that includes even when you have a partner. You know, yeah, you have a partner, you probably want to share everything with them, but sometimes there's stuff that they don't want to hear about, and sometimes there's stuff you don't want to hear about, and that's what you have your friends and your other family for, to hear you talk about those things. And I say that because I also used to have this issue with one of my closest friends, her having several best friends, and I felt like you can only have a certain number of best friends. Ridiculous, I know. But this was in high school, and at that time, I just felt like it was really coming from a place of, you can gain a lot of friends and I can't. So stop doing that, because now I don't have anybody to hang out with because you have all these other people to hang out with. I've seen I need to have, you know, my mom in my life, my dad in my life, my best friends, people who I go to dance class with, people who I see in my spin class, you know, people who are into YouTube, people who are into reading similar books. I need all these people who are from my childhood. I need all these different people in my life in order to be able just to be in a good place. It feels really good to have different people playing different roles. And so I think where the issue comes is sometimes we feel like we need to have one go-to person. Now, I feel like I have a go-to person, but it's for certain things. I wouldn't say that I necessarily have one go-to person for everything in my life, and that includes my best friend. For me, when I think of best friend, I think of somebody who, if I'm crying, I will call you. That's what defines a best friend for me. If I'm crying and you're not somebody I'm thinking about to call, then I probably wouldn't categorize you as that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that our friendship means less to me, you know? And so I used to hesitate using the word best friend because I felt like, what best and then everybody else is worse? I don't know. I just feel like with having friends out of college versus having friends in college, I've illustrated this in my video where I talk about making new friends, but the dynamics completely change. And people who played certain roles in your lives, they don't play that role anymore. And some friendships, they end, and sometimes it sucks. But I think when we have this understanding that everybody will at some point not be in our lives anymore, or even more so just experiencing somebody while we have them, experiencing that person while they're in our life, and then once timing or whatever makes it such that we're not close anymore, having this understanding of, okay, when we were close, that was cool, and that was exactly what I needed at that time. So I would say if you're struggling with, you know, understanding not attaching to people and just understanding that your friendship dynamics are going to change, I would first say to accept this idea or accept this fact that at some point this person will not be in your life. It sucks to hear it that way. Sounds sad, sounds somber, but it is a fact. And so when you take that fact and you use it to your benefit to say, okay, I know they're not going to be in my life forever. Let me experience this person now. Not only is it going to feel better for you, it's going to feel better for them, because again, nobody wants to be around somebody who's just time checking how often you all hang out. I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure to subscribe because I post new videos every single week. If you haven't already, make sure to check out two things: my vlogging channel, which I will leave a link to below, as well as my new blog, peaceanddeuces.com. And I will see you all in my next video. Deuces.